Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for the award show to end all award shows. It's the 2023 Attack of the Killer Podcast Award.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Yay.
What?
And here's your host for the 2023 Attack of the Killer Podcast Awards, me, Insane Mike, because that's all we can afford.
That's so true.
Thank you, mysterious announcer dude. Hello, I am Insane Mike, your host, and welcome to our show. We have a great evening planned for you, and all because tonight is a very special night, because we are doing the Attack of the Killer Podcast Annual Awards.
We got dressed up. We're in
Right.
tuxes.
We have our tuxes.
That's right.
We went down the red carpet, and we all get to hope and dream that we walk home with one of these great trophies.
Yes.
Only we're not nominated for
I'm
any
saying
of
we
these.
didn't make any of these.
So there goes all of our hopes and dreams. Now, the Attack of the Killer Podcast Awards is held every year, celebrating the best in horror for that particular year, at least according to us. Each one of us has picked our top 10 films for the year, and we will be discussing them here on the show. We are pretty passionate about our picks, so there may be spoilers in our discussion, just to warn you. These top 10s can run pretty long, so we actually split this event into 2 episodes. This episode we will be covering movies 10 through 6 on our lists, and the next episode we will be sharing our top 5 of 2023. This year's award ceremony is brought to you by JoinTheAttackers.com. Tired of your old Patreon donation? At
Yes.
JoinTheAttackers.com, you just don't get the same old perks for your donations. You become part of the Attack of the Killer podcast family that we passionately call the Attackers. As an attacker, you get all kinds of perks and bonus materials, like bonus episodes, videos, exclusive invites to our Attack of the Killer podcast, our Attack of the Killer chat, monthly horror hangouts, and more. You get membership card and certificate, and there's so much more you can get on top of that. All you got to do is go to jointheattackers.com, pick the tier to get the content you want to help support the show. And here's a list of the attackers that do help make this show possible.
That's right. But first, I'm really upset that Meaty Chunks dropped us this year.
Me Chunks dropped out.
Oh, man. What did you say last year to make
I
them
don't-
so offended?
I don't know. It's something about their drinks being too gristly. I don't know.
All right. Well, the attackers who are awesome, is Timothy Lennerer, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett Royer, Seth Key, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Gutzel, Stephen Sitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Moeller, Rod Hutchinson, Carmen DeHague, Abraham Moreno, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kelderman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talashoma, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Bill Fisher, Emily Randolph, Greg Diedrich, and Dallas Paris. That is one heck of a list
It's an amazing list.
of awesome, awesome folks.
Now, before we get on to the actual ceremony, I do have an announcement to make. I just want to let everybody out there know on our YouTube channel, we've added a whole new playlist that's
Yay.
open to everybody, not just YouTube, not just Attacker exclusive shows, but a channel that's going to be a playlist that's going to be open to everybody. We are posting all of Andy's recasting with Christian Slater's. We have a couple of them up right now, right? A couple, right?
Yep, 2 or 3, and
More to come.
more to come. Yeah, I'm going to try and do one a week. But yeah, one of the things we learned is that Andy's family didn't really know he did impressions. It's so crazy knowing how
Right.
good he is at them.
Yeah.
And so, but believe it or not, his folks, aren't huge horror movie people. So we're just kind of pulling his little segment out of each of the episodes he did them and putting them on YouTube so they can hear them. And you can too.
Yes, you can too. I definitely recommend checking them out. They're hilarious. They're a lot of fun, and he does a really good job with the impressions. I went back and listened to those first couple, and it's just been a while.
Yep.
It's been a while. So I just forget just how much we lose Andy in those voices. Like you would, some of those voices that he does, it's like that's not Andy. I don't. That is Ozzy Osbourne. That is that is Gary
He
Busey.
becomes Gary. Yeah.
Yep.
Just be careful if you have cats. Apparently, his Don Knotts gets him real horny. So
It's a phenomenon, really.
we don't know why science has gifted him, but spay and neuter your
That's right.
animals.
Tell him.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, definitely check that out on our YouTube channel. And here are the presenters for this year's awards, or how I like to call them, the podcast crew. He believes the Academy Awards ceremony is faked because everyone who attends are paid actors. Tad.
Hey guys, great to have another year of horror to talk about.
He's very upset that Liam Neeson hasn't won another Oscar in 30 years. It's because all of his roles have been taken. Jason.
Oh, Jesus, that's almost accurate.
That was a good one.
I know, right?
Thanks.
Hey, well, thanks, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate it.
And so it's time now to get into. I'm like nervous.
Finally, time.
My hands are all sweaty. See?
Oh, man, it's been a long year leading up to this.
That's right. So, who wants to start us off with their number 10? Why don't we just go? Why don't we start with Tad?
That's fine with me. If you listened to the bonus episodes, which you would not have heard, you would have heard. No, you wouldn't have heard the honorable mentions yet at this point. But I talked about how my number 10 is always like the one that rotates.
Yeah.
Because it's at the bottom of your list, which doesn't mean it's the. I mean, I guess technically it means it's the worst of your favorites, but it's so tough because it's hard to hang on. And this one I absolutely loved. And again, Jason mentioned that like some of these that happened came out at the beginning of the year, you sort of forget over time, or you forget how much you loved them. This is the one I saw in theaters. It did not do well at the box office, but I hope down the road it will become a cult classic and one of my favorite new Nick Cage movies, Renfield.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Renfield.
This is so much fun. It seems like we just had a lot of fun horror this year, which is good because later in my list there will be some really dark shit. But Nick Cage is Dracula. I mean, do we really need to discuss any further? I loved it. I loved that they integrated him into the original Dracula movie in black and white at the beginning.
Oh,
That was so cool.
That's just so goddamn cool. If nothing else, just for that. But I love this resurgence of Nick Cage doing, like, he can do a fun one, he can do a serious one, but it's like we finally tapped into using his very expressionist acting into what it should have been. For years he just made shit movies, and now we're finally
Paying attention
seeing
to everything he does.
Yeah, it's like he's every couple months he comes out with something, but he's rocking them now, and it's just like, this is great. He really embraced the Dracula character, and I wish it would have done better because it deserved better. That's
For
my number 10. Loved it.
Agreed.
Starring Nicholas Hoult too. I like him a lot. Ever
And
since
he's
he
in-
did the blue fuzzy guy on X-Men.
Yeah,
I
and
like
he's
him.
Beast.
he's going to be in Eggers' Nosferatu.
Oh.
Yeah.
So another Dracula film, but I would assume Robert Eggers is going to make a little bit more serious movie than Renfield.
Has to.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I think he was up for some other really big role. Now that I'm drawing a blank, but he didn't get it. Ended up getting Renfield, and not quite the box office hit, but it made my top 10. So that's even better. Higher accolades.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much because there might be a surprise on my list later, and I'll say what I feel in. Jason, what's your number 10?
Oh my gosh, guys! Here, let's get ready to get blown away. Here comes the list of lists. First of all, this year is hard.
You say that every year.
I know
though.
I do, and I thought back to last year, and I thought last year we had a consensus of there were a lot of movies, but maybe they weren't the
Quality was
average
lower.
quality was a little lower. This year I started, most of the way through the year. I'm like, I don't know if there's as many movies this year,
Yeah,
but
that's kind of how
when I
felt.
go to make my list, I'm like, God damn, there's some good fucking movies this year. So I thought the quality, even maybe there's less quantity, but the quality was much better.
Yeah, it flipped from last year. Yeah.
And yeah, like Tad said, I was shocked to find out how my top 5 kind of went easy, and it got harder as you get to the end. I just didn't think it through, and so these last ones definitely are tough. But all right, enough of that. This is it gets
make
etched
it,
in
yeah.
stone now. Oh my
Yep.
gosh!
No going back.
How many times have you changed it since we started recording?
Thankfully, I also realized that this is exactly why I wait till the last day to make my list. You guys worked on yours for weeks, it seems like, tinkering
Mine-
here and there.
Yeah, I just literally made a change like seconds ago.
Almost every single year, I wait till the day of. I look at because we keep a spreadsheet of all the films all year long, and we fill them in when we watch. And so I just look at that list. I just make a splattering of. I just go through the list and write down all the ones that feel important or feel like they're going to stand out, and then I narrow it down, and I make my list that morning of, really. And I've looked at it all day, and it hasn't changed really. So I feel good about it. But
So number 10, Jesus Christ, Jason.
man, see, there is a reason I'm a podcaster. Okay,
Drawing
so-
this out, man.
Well, I'm here to talk about the best. So, as also when we watch all these films, because we watch so many, there's like 100 films on this list that we've watched. Not we haven't watched
3-part
them all.
episode, folks.
Well, I gotta fill time here.
No, you don't.
I don't.
You gotta kill time. Let's go.
Well, I'm gonna. This is a lot of preamble here. We're getting to it. Now you
I
made
love
me
how
forget
Tad's
what I was.
freaking out, and it's drawing things out even more.
I know he is making it worse.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was gonna say. All right.
Sorry.
Well, anyway.
Well, these movies.
Oh, so because we watch so many movies, it's
Yeah.
also like because we run film festivals. When you watch a bunch of movies all at once, you can really notice trends and things. And so I feel like this movie is part of a big trend this year. And there's definitely a couple that stood out to me. I would like to challenge you two to also help tell me what you thought some of the bigger major trends are. If you hadn't thought about it, think about it as we go through.
Okay.
But yeah, just because it's interesting to me. I don't
Yeah.
how that works. How two meteor movies come out in the same summer. How does that happen?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how that happens
So
sometimes.
anyway,
It happenstance.
I'm going to talk about what I think is the best. What's the word? Possession film of the year. The best movie about an exorcist. We're talking about The Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, okay.
That's right. You thought I was going to say that other one, but I did not.
No, I saw it. I was hoping it wouldn't.
I know. Come on. I liked The Exorcist Believer, but The Pope's Exorcist, dudes, I passed on this movie since the day it come out. I'm like, there's no fucking way this is good. First of all, your name's weird. I don't like it. And then I'm like, since when has Russell Crowe been credible? Sorry, I love him a lot. I mean, a lot. But like, Russell Crowe, I don't know anymore.
Was it him playing Zeus and Thor?
That didn't help. But
I also know you're not a big possession-y film type guy.
not necessarily.
But Julius Avery directed this, so
That's true. Now you gotta make me click on who the hell that is.
Overlord.
Overlord.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
okay.
Overlord. I mean, he's etched in horror history for one of the gnarliest. Anyways, won't start on Overlord.
And so nervous. Passed. Kept passing on it because I'm like, this feels like a direct-to-video thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Because
just so
I know
many.
you two didn't watch it.
No.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure
thanks
you
for the
thought
heads
that.
up.
Yeah, I'm sure you thought that too. Like it's not going to be. But guys, I'm telling you, it's fucking awesome. It's yeah. So Russell Crowe plays. It's kind of based on the true stories, as he plays Father Gabriel Amorth. He's the Pope's. He's the head exorcist at the Vatican, and he took a lot of notes and from all the time that he did stuff. And this is one of the big stories, and it's fucking. I thought it was great. It's got Alex Esso in it too. I don't really spend a lot of time with her, but
I was like, who's he? And, you answered my question.
She was in Contracted.
With Goggins.
Yeah, Walter Goggins. Yeah, and the ending gets kind of fucking nuts, and like some really great imagery, and the cinematography is actually really great. And I was like, and the original Exorcist is probably my second favorite horror movie of all time. So I know maybe I don't like possession type movies necessarily, but when you say The Exorcist in your title, I'm like, all right, well, there's a bar, and how far under it are you going to be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But, goddamn, this is solid, man. Totally solid. I really liked it a lot.
I mean, I should have checked it out because I kept hearing people. It's like the opposite thing where like I had the same initial thoughts like, yeah, who gives a shit? It's another one of those like jump on the trend things, and then everybody was surprised by it, and so I was almost like, well, now that everybody's hyping it, I've got the opposite hype, or I'm going to go in with high expectations and hate it because some people loved it. I felt like some people were like, I loved it because I went in thinking it was going to suck, and it didn't.
Right.
Or I'm going in, I think it's going to rule. Is it going to suck? I don't know. What a stupid conversation to have in my head. But anyways.
That's my number 10, The Pope's Exorcist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
When did you watch it?
Oh, a month ago, probably.
And you didn't feel like you could tell us that we should watch it?
I fucking did. If you want to scroll up a little bit, buddy, I fucking said this movie actually rules. I gave you the proper heads up. I just, you can't say it too much because then you're...
Build up
Yes.
expectations.
Now it's too late.
Except, but I was gonna say, but you can put a link in the chat and tell us to watch something. Okay. Anyways,
I know, but still, you're being like, yeah, but you just said The Pope's Exorcist. You don't really mean it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll find something else. Thanks, Mike.
Well, my number 10 is an off the wall pick, but probably not for my tastes. But my number 10 is We Have a Ghost.
Oh,
I'm assuming nowhere near anybody else's lists. But I had fun with it, and I am such a big fan of Michael Landon's son, whose first name I can't remember right now. Yeah, huge fan apparently. I don't remember his name.
Dave.
I was not gonna say it, but
Yeah, I was beating you to
He
it.
had to.
Yep.
He knew he was going to say
I
it.
have to call out my own shit anymore and do it instantly, or else I'm fucked.
I love what's his name.
Dave.
I remember he's Michael Landon's son, okay? I got that far. Christopher. I've enjoyed everything that he's done so far, and not just because of this weirdo trend that he's doing of taking, genre, other types of genre films from the 80s and putting modern horror spins on them and making them fun, like Freaky or Happy Death Day. But I also really like Boy Scouts Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
That was good.
That's a really good film.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed everything that he's done so far. I think there's a couple other earlier films I haven't seen of his, and was a little shocked to find out that it was him, because I don't think I realized it till the end credits. And then it kind of makes sense if he is sticking with that trend that he's known for now, again, because there's definitely it's got a lot of comedy to it. It takes a lot of classic comedy genre tropes, mixing them with modern horror tropes or even classic horror tropes. To me, the movie for a chunk of it felt like, and I think I talked about this before on what we watched, so I'm just repeating myself, but it really felt like a one of those like 70s live action Disney movies with outrageous plots and concepts like Cat from Outer Space or The Computer with Red Shoes or whatever, all the Kurt Russell movies. But then it goes like Argento and Italian Giallo in the end of the third act or throughout the third act actually. And so it was such a weird juxtaposition between the first half and the second half. But to me, it still worked. It flowed very well, and I think by the time you get to the darker side of things, you're invested in the characters and all this, that, and the other thing. And of course, it's what's his face,
David Harbour.
from
Hellboy.
Well,
Stranger Things.
I was about to say he could do no wrong, but then
Come on.
Tad ruined it.
I'm just gonna bring up everybody's.
Which I can't say he ruined that's ruined because I still haven't seen that one. So it's probably, and he's probably awesome as Hellboy because he's awesome in everything, and he is so great in this movie. By basically almost doing a whole dialogue-less performance in the first half. He doesn't really speak until later. So so it just shows his chops, being funny and having emotional stuff and this, that, and the other thing, without any dialogue. And either of you guys get to see this one at all?
No, I didn't. This was not on my radar at all.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be.
It's a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
I remember when it came out and you talked it up on what we watched, and I was like, maybe.
And here we are.
Yep.
Well, if you guys get around to it,
Anthony Mackie too. That's cool.
I mean, I recommend it. I thought it was fun.
Oh, we did it.
That's
Broke
it for
the
this
seal.
episode.
We
oh,
broke
wait.
the seal.
Oh, that was just 10.
It's on now.
It's on like Donkey Kong. So moving on to our number 9. Tad, what's your number 9?
This is one that was not. I watched it. I was like, I don't know, is this going to make my list? And then the more I thought about it and realized that I just kept thinking about the movie, I realized it definitely deserved a spot on my list. It was a movie that I did not know was coming. I don't think anybody expected. What a weird sequel to make, but Wrath of Becky.
Yeah,
I mean, Becky was kick-ass.
it was.
Yes.
But it wasn't. I don't even if it did hit theaters. It was very limited. It wasn't a huge success. I loved it, but it wasn't something that lit up the world to the point where I thought we'd ever get a sequel. And then years later, we get a sequel, and they did this amazing thing where we had what's his name in the first one?
Kevin James.
Kevin James playing a neo-Nazi, and everybody's like, holy shit, that's really out of character, but he did great.
He did great.
And then we get Sean William Scott as like a Proud Boy in this. Like this trend of like taking the 2000s
And he was
like
great.
Yeah.
comedians, lovable comedians,
Yeah.
and making them dead fucking serious. But this movie, the way it's shot is so fucking cool. The idea for the sequel is so simple and paper thin, but I love it. And the kills are so fun. This
Oh,
movie
God, yeah.
is just the whole time I was having a riot. This is like probably the most fun movie of the year.
For sure.
Just cool as shit. Watching and my political views that we won't get into definitely influence this in a big
Sure.
way, where I just love seeing these. I mean, it is like Christmas morning for me watching these fuckers die in the most creative ways. I mean, talking about like earlier about, and you'll have to listen to the bonus where I talk a little bit about being conflicted on some of these movies about who I'm supposed to root for and stuff. There is absolutely no question on this one.
Right. Squirrely guy for a second, but then still no.
Yeah. and you know, they make it clear as day who you're rooting for, and I do not feel a bit guilty when they get theirs. God, this was unexpected, out of nowhere. Thank you, Jason, for making us watch this one, because this is and Mike mentions like one of his criteria is rewatchability. This one is probably the most rewatchable on the damn list. It is so so much fun. As soon as I watched it, I regretted not waiting for Nikki to watch it with me because I was like, you remember that movie with Kevin James? She was like, what? Which one? And I'm like,
Paul Blart.
yeah. I was like, Becky. I was trying to explain it, and she was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm like, they made a sequel. She's like, what? Same
out of
reaction we all
nowhere.
Out of nowhere,
Yeah, the same thing we all thought, and it was like, they made a sequel, and I'm like, yeah, and Sean William Scott plays a proud boy, and it's like, holy shit.
She's like, I'm in.
Yeah, and the lead actress who I'm a huge fan of, but I don't know her name.
Lulu Wilson.
Lulu Wilson. What a badass, and she's gotten better since the first movie. She is so good. Like, am I just missing that she's not? Is she in other stuff? Because she should be in everything. She's fucking awesome.
She is great.
And she's grown up now, and she's even better in this. And she's such a badass and believable and hilarious. And the timing of the movie is good. It's funny and awesome. I just can't say enough nice. I don't want to put this at 9. Let me put it up at like 3. This movie rules.
Oh,
Yeah, the way you're talking it up, it's shocking. It's 9.
I'm so glad that forgetting to tell you about the dog part didn't ruin it.
Oh no, it.
But when that happens, Jesus fuck, you're like, you couldn't be more mad.
No.
Well, there's a dog and her roommate.
Oh,
I mean,
that part.
there's
Fuck.
even if these guys weren't apprehensive enough of just disgusting
Having a
humans,
reason. Yeah.
even if you don't follow the politics of them, like, you would hate them for what they're doing to dogs and people, and just there's no question on who's the bad guy and who's the good people, and fucking loved it.
Yeah, it's filmed and presented to you in a very fun, spirited way. It doesn't. I don't.
I
It
mean,
could
there's
have
some
went
dark
over the
themes,
top a
but-
little more and
yeah.
been like more. It was like a freeze frame text away from being a comic book style
Oh,
movie.
sure.
But it didn't have that, and so it balanced it really well. I thought for being fun.
Give me like a weird Deadpool vibe almost.
Yeah, agreed. Now, I wanted to rewatch the original Becky to have some context and comparison, but is it just me? Do you guys remember the original enough to know if this was tonally lighter and funner
Felt
than
like
the
it
first
was.
one?
It definitely felt like it.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
it felt, if my memory serves me, and maybe it's just all in Kevin James's performance, but it just felt like the first one was darker. I'm not saying it's
was.
without lightheartedness and comedy, because it's a small child taking on neo-Nazis and winning. It's very
Home Alone with Nazis.
It is. Yeah,
very
so
dark Home Alone. Yeah, but
it follows the sequel rules. It's more fun and lighter, and
this one feels a
body
lot more
count.
bubblegum pop kind of.
Yeah, and I think I like this one. I like way better than the first one.
Dude, fucking Courtney
And
Gaines.
Courtney Gaines.
God
Yeah.
damn,
Always
he
happy to see him show up, and he's great
was
in it.
awesome, sort of.
Oh my god. Okay.
As an actor, is a great performance. As a
Yes.
character, fuck him.
Fuck
yeah,
but
fuck. Oh my.
right
What's
at the
your
end,
son's name? Adolf.
He said, "Oh fuck," first. He says it.
He's got that look on his face, like, no, I'm not going to save my ass now.
So he's great.
I bust out laughing as soon as he said it.
I laughed a lot in this movie, man.
Yeah.
As people are getting torn to fucking shreds, I'm laughing. So love it.
Oh, that's great.
I would love to see this one in a theater.
Oh yeah.
Deserves much more love. I don't think it's going to pop up on a lot of lists, but it deserves more love.
It deserves it though.
Next
yeah.
year's Tad's birthday party.
Remind me, where did we see this?
Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, support this movie. Watch it. Hulu. Jason, number 9 for you.
Well, this second movie is Tad's fault. It's on my list. He unknowingly mentioned it in the future past, on the past future bonus episode. But this next movie, had no idea about it until Tad mentioned it. It stars my girlfriend, my movie girlfriend, and she gets to be my movie girlfriend because I get to talk about her first, Tad. Influencer. I really, really, really loved this movie. It's about a social media influencer. She goes on a trip to Thailand. She makes a friend. Maybe the friend's not as cool
Person
as
she says they are.
Yeah. And as Tad explained on the honorable mentions, like, yeah, this movie's definitely got a who are we following? Because the movie starts out with following this social media influencer, and then it kind of goes to this friend, and and then once that happens, you're like, I can't fucking trust anything about this movie, which makes it great. Then boyfriends show up, and it's got just great messages about society and the how much they put on social media influencing as news and how important it is, and I love that stuff a lot.
I would say two people who work in like
We
social
do.
media marketing.
We do. We totally
We're
do.
like, watching. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, so the main lead bad girl, Cassandra Naud, she is amazing. Kind of just also feels like she came out of nowhere. She's in another movie this year. It's a Wonderful Knife.
yep.
Yep.
She plays a character in there, and yeah, I mean, I started wondering. We'll have this debate for the rest of this in the next episode. What is horror? But like, I questioned this one a little bit on being
Why
a horror movie. I didn't mean to look
Why
at
would
you
you
when I said.
question?
Oh no, I'm not.
Just what-
I love.
Sounds like you are.
I'm just preempting your eventual watch of this, and you'll be
I'll
like,
say in my head, like nothing scarier than going like outside of the country, losing my passport, and having someone
yeah.
you trust not be the person they said they were. So this is like this is a worse nightmare than
oh, for
an
real.
exorcist that's not real. Just because
Right.
this kind of shit happens.
Right. Now, I don't think it gets as. I can't. My mind isn't remembering any super violent deaths necessarily,
There's
Is there?
some stuff. Yeah.
but like it's not like on the level of Hostel or anything.
No, it's
but
no.
it
It's not
feels
torture
very,
by any means. It's grounded.
It's very grounded, and that's what that is the thing I like about it. It doesn't break any of its rules, and it stays grounded, and great message and great story, and because of the switcheroo, it keeps you on your edge. You're like, you cannot figure out how it's going to end, and it's great. And I was just all in, man. I loved it.
I'm glad.
Influencer,
I'm glad I recommended it. I figured you would probably dig it
yeah,
big time.
really did.
Man, I thought after the bonus I needed to see this one, but now I need to see it even more.
What was the one with Micah Monroe last year? Watcher.
Yeah,
Sort of has like a similar tone and feel to that for me. Like
Is that the one with the
the root
woman getting
watched.
from
Yes,
the
yeah,
building
yeah.
across, and she's
I mean, that one was probably creepier, but
yeah,
this
but it's
one has an
okay.
uneasiness that just
Yeah.
doesn't let up.
I liked Watcher, so
Yeah.
maybe I think I do
Oh,
need
you
to
could
watch
dig
it.
it. You dig this.
Cool. All right, my number 9.
Oh, he's
Go.
smiling. What's this?
Here we go. It's my stupid sensibilities. My number 9 is Slaughterhouse.
All
fuck
right.
yeah.
It's just so fun. And here's what's great about it, and this is what makes good comedy, is taking your ridiculous premise and playing it serious. And I'm not just talking about like the characters or whatever, but I'm just talking about an overall look of your monster or whatever. You take a stupid movie like Thanksgiving, where it's like a rubber turkey puppet that somebody obviously has their hand in and moving the mouth, and it looks all weird and deformed, and it's like saying obscenities through the whole movie and whatnot. This is like a real looking sloth that goes on a murderous rampage, and it's so much funnier seeing the sloth pick up a gun and shooting people because it looks like a real sloth and not like a Muppet or
It's the perfect animal to pull off the puppetry.
yeah, because it's such a slow.
Such
And when you watch a real sloth moving, it doesn't look natural.
No.
So this doesn't look natural either. The puppetry work isn't the best, or is it? It the puppetry looks puppet-like, but then so do sloths sometimes. So it's when the thing's static and it's just like moving its head around and stuff. I'm convinced those are real sloth moments, but Yeah, the movie's just, yeah, it's
And
all.
shout out to writer Bradley Fowler, who's from Cedar Rapids.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Okay.
But yeah, this one, I didn't make my list because I thought maybe it was a little. I had a little bias where I booked this movie, played it in a theater full of people, and had a blast. And I was like, the experience of seeing it was probably better than the movie itself.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you like watched it in a contained
Yeah.
setting and loved it that much. That it's not just us, like, you know, because I've watched some bad movies with a group that I had a blast with. Does that make it a good movie? No, but it made it a fun time.
Yeah.
But I really was surprised by this one when I heard the title.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta book this shit. We booked it, and then I watched a preview of it, and I was like, oh my god, like this. And again,
Trailer's great.
sort of like what we talked about earlier with the Pope's Exorcist, where this one I went in expecting, you know, what's the shitty Transmorphers and snakes on a train,
Asylum
and,
type stuff.
I was expecting more of an asylum type movie, and this is like, this probably could have gone a little more wide in theaters, not just one night in theaters. It could have been a thing. I think it would have done a little better. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I had some problems with it, but
Yeah.
let's just say it's better than it had any right to be for a movie called Slaughterhouse.
Yeah. I was gonna say my problems with it is the majority of the human characters.
Yeah.
They're just so. There's just a lot of nasty sorority girl mentality going on in this.
I
in
thought
this movie.
I thought the sorry to keep interrupting, but I
Oh, that's
thought
fine.
the thing where like where the text bubbles are popping up, you know, and the things where like you're seeing their social media profiles when they introduce the characters on the screen, where it's like this
Yeah.
person has this many likes and all that stuff. I was like, this is really fucking good. Like this is a smart way to handle this in this world where social media and popularity plays such a big part of the story. Where I'm like, how do you handle this in a smart way? Because I fucking hate when I'm watching a movie, especially when I'm watching it at home and I can't. You're supposed to be able to read their cell phone, and it's like I have a 70-inch TV and I still can't read your shit. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you
I wasn't
handle it?
able to
Well-
read all the stuff in the bubble, so like I hated it by the end. I mean, I hate it, but like I get to maybe the last time they do it, and I'm like, oh, there's more shit in that bubble than the thing I was reading. I don't know.
No.
I
yeah.
missed most of it,
I did too. My eyes are shit, but
but I agree that that's the way to do it. It was a nice way to do it.
yeah, and that's the whole real theme and plot of this movie is based on social media acceptance and getting those views and those likes and whatever,
Yeah.
just so this girl can be the queen of the sorority house. I forget what it was.
I also love that like with this saying they take it beyond. They like break the wall with it. There's a point where it's like sitting as they play. I don't even remember. They're playing some game like volleyball or something outside, and it's sitting in like a ref's shirt with a whistle around its neck. The sloth is, and it drives a car, and it's like,
Yep. Yeah.
we know that it can't do this, and fuck it. We need to do this to get a laugh, so we're gonna do it and not care.
Yeah.
But again, what makes those moments funny is that it looks like a real sloth.
Right, and the sloth is updating people's Instagrams. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it's a real-looking sloth doing unrealistic things, that's how the comedy works. You're shaking your head
just
just because it's
that fucking
ridiculous.
sloth.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Hope-
cute.
And he's cute. Yeah.
I hope we get Slaughterhouse too.
How do you feel about them saying the name of the movie?
Oh, I loved the way they handled it too. It's a slaughterhouse. Everybody groans.
Yeah. Okay, it's time for number 8. Wow. Let's mix it up a little bit. Jason, why don't you go first?
Oh Jesus!
Or
okay.
you?
No,
is
it's
that too left field? Okay.
Mine is one of those movies. My number 8 is one of those movies that kind of happened earlier in the year, way earlier in the year. But I couldn't deny its awesomeness, and it really stood out to me, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Megan, if you haven't seen Megan yet, Megan is a marvel. of artificial intelligence, a lifelike doll is programmed to be a child's greatest companion. I don't have to tell you this. You've seen all this. You know who Megan is. I did watch the trailer a little bit just to. I went through most of my top 10s just to like make sure, and I'm like, yep, this movie's great, and this is what Chucky should have been. What? I didn't say it.
Whoa.
I didn't
Hey,
say that.
hey, Jason.
Yeah.
My number 8's Megan too.
Yeah, see the
Wow.
cool people know.
Twinsies, buddy. I was so
Yay.
I was like almost feeling like self-conscious about even putting it on my list, but
Same.
I'm like, fuck it, I love this one, man.
Same.
I am so in for like the weird trends. At Horror Nights, they had hordes of Megans going around. They would do like flash mobs, so you didn't know when or where they would
Yeah.
appear, but they would appear out in the streets of Universal and do the dance. And I'm like, this is the kind of stupid shit I love. And like you said, yeah, it's better than the Chucky reboot. This is so like making us afraid of AI. This movie rules.
Yeah, it has, I think, so many more of those moments that you love about Child's Play movies where this inanimate-ish object looks and does things it's not supposed to do, and you're just like, just puts you in a level of uneasiness that is amazing. And
And
yeah,
another moral dilemma, like
yeah,
we talked about earlier, where that shithead kid is being bullied and she rips off his ear, and you're like, fuck yeah, fuck that kid. Like, rip off his ear and let him get hit by a car. Right on.
I would have done that if I could have stood up to the bullies. Yeah. Yeah, the other girl's great. The mom's great. The big battle at the end is great with the past robot.
Yeah, that was
All
cool. That
that's
was very
awesome, and seeing the mom and daughter get together finally, and yeah, man, this movie, and who doesn't like little dance moments? I'm with you, Ted.
And I love, is it Allison Williams or is it?
Allison Williams.
Yes.
Gemma. Yeah,
I
the
think
mom.
it's really, I mean, I'm going to get groans here for being too woke or whatever, but it's like you don't see like a lead female who's doesn't have kids,
Yep.
is career driven
Yep.
and it's almost like, you think of that role as the deadbeat dad or the single dude
But
who's
it's
the
not
bachelor.
represented. Yeah.
Right. And fuck yeah, for going the other way with it, because those women do exist. I can't think of even another film where someone's represented like that. And I loved it. And she's great. I love her. So
Twinsies.
yeah.
Triplets, Mike? Triplets?
Oh, I almost thought about changing it just so it would be because, well, spoilers.
It's
I'm
close.
gonna just spoil it because we're so close
Yeah.
to it. It's my number 7.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, so close.
Good
so
deal.
freaking close.
Good deal.
God, we're like girls who are on their period.
Yeah, pretty much. We're synced up.
Anyways, that finishes my 8. So Mike, what's your 8?
So my 8 was Knock at the Cabin.
Oh
Fuck yeah, man. That movie is great.
Yeah,
M. Night back on the list.
that's
Fuck
right.
yes.
On my list, not
That
Jason's.
made it hard to
which
not have
means
him on there.
I must be a bigger M. Night fan.
Damn it does mean that. Shit, let me find my card. I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks. I've been wanting it back for so
I
long.
know.
Yeah.
You get to wear the shirt this year.
Damn it.
Until he makes like Last Airbender 2, and then
It
Jason
was
can
a
have the
good
shirt
movie.
back.
Come on.
What's the one before? What's the Will Smith one?
Oh,
After Earth, before
Yeah.
Earth. In
I
between-
liked that one too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there not a one?
No.
Okay.
I like them
I'll
both.
move on. But this one's great.
Yeah, Batista, man.
Yeah. Oh, so awesome to see him outside of the Guardians movies and doing something different. He's such a subdued character for him, but just a lot of emotion behind it too, because he hates every moment of what he's doing to these people, but he has to. And
Because he believes.
and I just love how M. Night, and he does this in a lot of his movies. Forget the whole M. Night's
don't
the
say it,
twist
don't-
guy.
The twist.
The twist guy.
Stop it.
M. Night is the questioning what you're seeing guy. Like a lot of his movies are like this, where you're just questioning is like, are these people just crazy or is this real? And you're debating that through most of this movie. And even at the end, I'm still questioning
Yep.
it. Even after seeing things like all the airplanes crashing and all that crap, which I watched this movie right before taking an airplane trip, so that was a mistake. And so he does such a good job on that balance of like you as the audience member even questioning really what the reality is in this film.
I think the only real thing that kept this out of my top 10, because spoiler, it comes up in my honorable mentions, is like I brought it up when we had it on the full episode when we talked. I think it was a Cabins episode or the Woods or something, but was the whole Rupert Grint's like his character. Yeah, it played. We questioned like that thing where it's like we see the flashback and he does have a connection to this couple, but they never explain it later as like why, it just seemed like something was it was leading to something and it never paid off as to like because it was a misdirection that didn't necessarily need to be there.
Yeah, and I can say I agree with you on that, and I can say that I feel like that scene. That I don't like it either because it doesn't feel like it belongs in this movie, and I could be harsher when it comes to M. Night doing something like that because I feel like M. Night has always done a really good job of everything you're seeing in front of you is serving a purpose in the story. And unless I'm missing something, I don't see what that.
Well, you must not have seen the special features with the deleted scenes and the commentary track from the Blu-ray, like the real true fan.
Oh,
over
he's
here.
back. He's
God
back.
damn it! Here's the shirt back.
I'm just kidding. I don't have a Blu-ray, but
Oh,
it's
I'll say-
probably on there.
Jason watched 4 YouTube videos like you did with Skinamarink, and
Yeah.
found one fan theory as to why.
but don't you agree though? As far as M. Night goes,
Yeah,
like
it's always buttoned
everything there serves what he's doing and telling the story. And that particular scene didn't, unless there is something missing, which could be. But then again, like why would he still leave that?
You guys
there?
dwell on it too much.
You're right. Anyway,
But it's Shyamalan, like he leads us to dwell on that kind of stuff. That's his thing. So
And
that's
he'll
what
play on
that's
the
what I was
sequel.
sort of disappointed with. It was like he usually wraps up everything. So,
yeah.
anyways, it's still a great movie.
Yeah,
Don't let that-
yeah. Nothing
know.
taken away from it.
Nope.
All right, so man, we're trucking along, but maybe we need a break. What do you guys think?
Wouldn't be
Yeah.
bad.
Chad probably has to pee, so.
Yeah, little child bladder that he has.
I keep it in a cooler.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue on with our list. First, you're going to hear a promo for our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN is home to over 30 shows, including The Movie Defenders. The Movie Defenders is a podcast which discusses the positive aspects of popular movies. They take popular movies that have been ridiculed by critics and defend them. Listen to the fun discussions of the movies you love, or perhaps reconsider a movie again you didn't like as much as you wish you did. Now, as of this recording, you could check out their latest episode, which is 161, where they talk about The Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, I haven't had a chance to listen to that one yet, but I heard the one before it, was eager to check it out because they did Clue. I love Clue, and it was a great discussion. It was really cool because there was a lot of things that were said that, normally I'll listen to a movie podcast about a movie that I'm passionate about, and I'm yelling at you need to talk about this, you need to talk about that, or you're missing the nuance of this scene or whatever. And they pretty much hit the nail on the head of everything that I wanted to hear them talk about. It was great. It was a really good episode with lots of quotes from the movie. Just going to tell you that too. So check out The Movie Defenders and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepffpn.com. Thanks for listening.
And we're back. All right. So hopefully that gave you guys a chance to check out all the other amazing shows on the network.
Totally.
Yeah. Now let's get back into it. We're on to number 7. I'll just go ahead and start because we've already talked about it, and I've already said what mine was. It's Megan. Just barely
Dude,
missed
awesome
having the
movie.
trifecta.
Oh,
of
so good movie.
number 8. Yeah, but it's great. Yeah. Well, love the look of Megan and the way she moves and how it's like a lot of like. It reminds me, her look just kind of reminds me of like AI pictures you see on Facebook and stuff. It's like, this looks real, but it looks off.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they nailed it with her. It's so good.
Yeah. So
I'll say before we move on is the power of this movie, the fact that it ended up on all of our lists, about the middle of our lists, and it came out in January this year, that we all remembered it and it left that big of an impression. That, you know,
Yep.
it's like
around.
I tried to really not have recency bias
Yeah, I
change
know.
my list, but
For
like,
sure.
if anything, this is like a strong showing. I wonder if it would have came out like October, if it would have been higher, but
could have been, yeah, true. Well, it was higher on mine than it was yours.
it's true.
Bigger fan.
Yeah, you get to wear the Megan shirt. You get to wear the wig.
There's a lot of shirts.
Do
Yeah,
the dance.
I'd break a hip if I tried that dance. Okay, so Jason, what is your number 7?
Okay, well, here's one that I did not expect to be on my list at all. And I'm just shocked. And I think it kind of goes to what you said with Megan, where, like, this one left an impression with me. You know, it just stuck with me for a while. I just kept thinking about it. I was just... it's a fun little mystery too, and you just start rooting for one of the characters anyway. And it also this will be a movie that I think falls into another one of the big themes of the year.
Okay.
That has to do. I don't know how broad to call this theme, and I also don't. Okay, so the theme I think is children and birth.
Oh yeah,
and
I had that written down as like a trend: reanimation in children.
Yeah, like it's a really. There's probably at least 5 or 6 movies out of this 100 that really stood. I mean, it was just really stands out to me. And then I don't want to say this to not be woke, or maybe it's just attributing the awesomeness to that theme is like this particular movie is a female director, and I've been looking at a lot of the directors, and a lot more directors are women, and that's fucking
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Right? And so maybe that, I don't know if that's why there's more movies about kids in this year,
Could be,
you know?
yeah.
But this movie was just awesome. I didn't expect it to be. I just watched it on a whim, and it's called Birth/Rebirth.
Oh, okay. Didn't see it.
Birth, Rebirth. Yeah. A morgue technician successfully reanimates the body of a little girl. And she must harvest biological materials from pregnant women to keep the child breathing. When the girl's mother, a nurse, discovers her baby is alive, the two enter into a deal that forces them both down a dark path. So this movie's great. It's all women. It's somewhere in between Frankenstein and Reanimator without the neon,
Yep.
without the neon or over the top wackiness.
Did
Sorry.
you say that on Messenger too? Because that
I think I
comparison
tried
without the neon, that Reanimator comparison without the neon, I felt
might
like
have.
I read it somewhere.
See, I tried to tell you these movies are good.
Yeah,
Maybe it's on the
he
chat.
did push this one.
Yeah, I tried
Okay.
to, but it's not a. I mean, it's weird. And the other lead girl, Marin Ireland, she's this tall redhead, just weirdo who basically plays the scientist role, and you don't know what the fuck she's up to. She's off her rocker. She's just weird. She
She's
has
socially.
no
awkward.
social skills whatsoever. She is too smart to have to deal with any of that. So anyone who tries to interact with her while you're figuring out what's going on, you're like, this lady's weird.
Yeah, this lady's like on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, but like unaware that she's a complete monster and bitch to her coworkers, because she's obsessed with her work and that's her life, and everyone else has a life. And yeah, later in the movie, she sort of slowly realizing like, oh, like other people have other things outside of this weird obsession with life and death. But
And so the main character, the mom, is a nurse in the same hospital, and she's like a single mom, struggling, just trying to get by. It's a hard life, and she has to go into work and has to leave her kid with the neighbor, and has one of them long shifts. And during that shift, her fucking kid dies, and it is fucking heart wrenching. It's hard to watch as a parent. Any of these movies that have to do with kids are touchy. Definitely trigger warning-ish. So it's tough. And to watch this mom and she's out of the corner of her eye, she's had interaction with this Dr. Frankenstein, with this to this nurse other lady, and figures it out, and anyway finds out. She follows her home and all this stuff, and finds out that the scientist lady has stolen her dead baby and has
trying to bring
her back to life in her house
as an experiment, basically, because
yeah. And so then, but a traumatized mother, desperate to have her kid again, has just, it's not unrealistic. I mean, all of this is unrealistic, but
not really, because they ground it so well in this, because they're both stuck in a bad situation now, where she's caught trying to reanimate a dead body. So she
that she stole.
So the mom can't go to the police because she wants her baby reanimated. So they're both on the hook with each other and trying to make this work, and it suddenly becomes a weird family dynamic, almost like a pet. They treat it almost like a dying old relative, where someone has to always be on watch. And I'll let you talk some more about it, because there's a pig in this story too.
Yeah, well, it was like her first thing she brought back to life.
Gotcha.
And the serum, the magical serum, is made from birth stuff. So this scientist lady keeps trying to get pregnant. She's getting semen to make babies in her so that she can take that baby before it gets too far and use pre-baby stuff to make this serum, and it works. And that goes wrong, and then it's like, now what do we do? Oh man, it's fucking great.
It's a big roller coaster, because this movie kicks off with this really socially awkward lady at a bar offering to jerk off an old man in the bathroom, and she does, and puts it in like a little collection thing, and it's like, where the fuck is this going?
Hunting for baby gravy.
Yeah.
And
she doesn't, again, she's so socially awkward. She just is like, I would like to masturbate you in the bathroom. And the drunk old biker's like, cool, like, let's go. And she's like, but you can't watch, you can't look, because it is a very unique movie. For Jason talking about like the trends, there's like two others this year that you could say have this trend, but they're all so different in tone and story. This one was really good, Jason.
Thanks. Yeah, it's weirdly grounded too, it seems. It's not fantastical necessarily. It's very matter of fact, and
when she reanimates these things, it's more, it's not as extreme as like Pet Sematary or Reanimator. It's like these things, they are living, but they lack their motor skills. Do you slowly have to rehab them and try to teach them?
The way back is tough. And
it's sort of like, it reminded me of Pet Sematary, because these things are not, they come back and they're not the same, but they're not violent necessarily either. They are basically, they're a shell of a person trying to survive. It's almost like being reborn with a functioning body, with a brain of, an infant. So.
And I believe you can find this on Shudder.
Yep, another Shudder great. This one's really good.
Rebirth. It's my number 7.
Tad, what's your number 7?
Oh man, this one's a heavy one because
God.
yeah, this one was at 10 earlier today.
Wow.
It's made its way up, and I honestly think it deserves to be further up. It might be one of my favorite movies of the year, but my internal debate on the horrorness of it, but it's stupid to even debate that. So
why
it probably
debate
does. It probably does deserve to be higher on the list, but it's one I saw literally last night. Godzilla -1.
Oh, okay.
I even asked Jason, do you consider this horror? Asked Brian Clark, which is not the person to ask,
Right.
because he was like, well, it's about the horrors of war. And then Michael Rowland, my other Godzilla expert, was like, giant lizard smashes people. Yes, it's horror. So who am I to argue? This movie, like I said, is probably the best movie on my list.
Yeah.
But is it the best? So people say, well, how is it not your top horror movie? But is
Yep.
it in the horror? I don't know, man. It's this debate of making this list.
But the movie itself is fucking brilliant.
I'll end this debate. Godzilla was on the cover of Fangoria #1. We're done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and this is definitely a horror Godzilla, not the American
Yes.
glowing pink guy that
This
has
is-
created a whole fiasco in our group chat.
One angry lizard.
Yeah, and this is such God, man, Godzilla in this movie is barely like he's just there to move the story along because it's a story about people and the horrors of war, like Brian Clark said, and he comes along to fuck things up, and then the stories of these people.
But the story's so good, you don't
Yeah.
even want him to show up because he's
Right.
going to fuck things up
Right.
for your story that you're totally
Right.
interesting. Which is weird to feel that in a Godzilla movie.
Right. Toho knows how to make them, man. This is so fucking good. And Brian Clark told us, earlier in the group chat today that it's the #1 movie. It's got 96%
awesome.
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Unheard of.
This is fucking great. The performances, it's emotional. It is tugs at the heartstrings. Fuck yeah, this movie rules. I'm putting it #1. No, I'm just joking.
Move it up.
And it's not connected to any previous Godzillas, right? It's its own thing. It's not like a sequel to Shin Godzilla or.
That would be a question for Brian Clark,
can't
but
answer that.
Okay.
but you can watch it on its own 100%. You
Oh,
don't.
Well, you can watch all of them on their own. as
Right,
far
but
as I'm concerned.
there might be Brian will probably there is connection, but I don't know of the connections. But it's on its own. It's fucking great. It's a very basic Godzilla story. You don't need to know about any lore or anything. Just giant lizard fucking things up during a war. That's basically it. It's so simple and stripped down. And I'm like watching this and I'm like, why can't we have like horror, like our horror franchises? Why can't we have like Jason, Friday the 13th and Halloween? Like, why do we have to have these ridiculous, crazy, deep stories? This is so simple and so perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Godzilla -1, #7.
So good. I can't wait for you to see it. And
I know,
of
I'm
all
so
movies this year,
mad.
of all movies to see in a theater,
Yeah, you got to see it in a
Well,
theater.
this is
you fucking feel his
It feels
steps.
like a once in a lifetime opportunity to see a Toho movie, a Japanese subtitled
That was so
film,
awesome.
movie from another country being played across theaters in the United States. I mean, it's in
wild.
Ottumwa, Iowa, for God's
wild.
sakes.
And shout out to the only other person in the theater when we saw it on a Monday night, Phil Poole, for waiting for the most quiet, dramatic, heart-wrenching moments to knock back his cup of ice into his mouth and slush his fucking popcorn bag.
it.
God damn it. Anyways,
Phil,
love you, Phil, but Jesus Christ, man.
come
Wait
on,
3
man, read
seconds.
the room.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
his name.
wait till
Phil
there-
fills his face with popcorn and ice.
Phil, come on, dude. Like, there's times where Godzilla is stomping on a city. You can shuffle your popcorn bag and rattle your ice in. Anyways,
Moving on to
So
number
good.
6.
Yeah, so glad it's on your list.
Moving on to number 6. Jason.
Guys, this is the last round.
It is.
Oh my goodness. Well, oh my gosh. Here's another one that I didn't know about this film until Tad. Tad told me about it. I'm really excited about my top 10 in general this year because the majority of them are more indie films. Not on purpose necessarily, but there are a lot of big budget stuff that just didn't make the cut. So maybe just in an indie vibe now. But this movie, it's called Attachment. It tells it's a couple's new relationship is interrupted by mysterious happenings in their new flat, provoked by one of the women's disapproving mothers. This is a Danish film, so that's awesome. And speaking of subtitles,
I love Danishes.
exactly. Oh shit. This is it's here's the reason I love. Or you're gonna say I would love this movie is that it's a love story movie. It's about these couple girls that just find themselves
Instantly fall
Oh,
in
it's
love.
that one.
instantly
Okay.
just fall for each
Love
other.
at first sight.
Love at first sight. And every time, what I little quirks about their journey is every time that they have a questioned moment of like, are we doing this too fast? They just do and say the right thing at that moment to just keep it going further. And I just loved that. Yeah, and then just one of the girls just starts having some health problems really bad, and they take her back home to mom, and mom's weird as fuck, and she's just a little overbearing and a little weird.
A little. Yeah.
Okay, so she's fucked, and they're super Jewish, I believe.
Yeah.
And
At least that's what I got from
Yep,
the trailer.
Yep. And so there's things I don't necessarily always understand, but it was great. The other the girls were awesome. Trying to find the cast. Yeah, Josephine Park, the blonde girl, she was just gorgeous.
So good. So good.
And just she was captivating while her girlfriend was going through this fucking ride from hell. You're just trying to follow her and hang on and hope for the best, and you're trying to figure out what is the fuck going on here. And this movie's so great I don't know, we always talk about trying not to look ahead, but you're like, what the fuck is happening? What is wrong with this other girl? And you just don't know. And where it goes, it's just like, well, fuck, that's awesome. And it just takes this dark ass turn and gets into some wild shit. And the end is just awesome. And people you didn't like, you end up liking. And when a movie says horror/romance, I'm in.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how I saw it was billed as, like on Shudder, and this is one of those movies I watched the trailer for, and it's like, well, if I get to it,
Sure.
based on the trailer. So yeah, it seemed like it really is more centered around the love story.
It really is. It's mostly these two girls just trying to make their way in this mixed up world, with a crazy ass mom and
Yeah,
uncle, and just wanting to be in love, and shit just ain't working out for them, and it's hard. And man, I was in from the fucking get go.
figured you would be. Yeah,
So just going with them on this journey was incredible, and man, I loved it. And again, stuck with me. That's one of the things about my list this year is just these movies stuck with me. There was just more to them. I know this whole year, Jason's been on a journey of, does he still like horror movies? We were getting worried.
I was worried there.
There was a minute, right? And I was too,
debates with
especially in
you.
these last few months where we are really packing him in here. I'm like, this is either going to break and ruin Jason forever, or, I mean, it was a concern
Yeah,
when forced to watch this many fucking horror movies. But, I think I just got lucky where most of them were good ones, or that didn't just hurt me or just make me so mad I didn't want to, or whatever reason I was having trouble with horror. I don't know. Just the movies on my list this year, the quality was so good. with the storytelling from beginning to end that is just like horror can be awesome. So I was really happy. That's my takeaway for the year ender for sure. Is I'm glad that I still like horror movies because
Yay.
it was touch and go there for a minute. So.
Well, God, I want to jump back to what we talked about in one of the bonus episodes.
You should a little bit without.
Well, again, I worry about spoilers too,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Night of the Hunted
Yeah.
and how that ends, I was concerned about how you took that.
Yeah, I mean, we you and I had a little off air. We've got to hang out a little bit, and one of our few discussions we've had about trying not to talk about these movies has been the only one of the big things that have hurt movies this year is the fucking endings. Like a movie will do really good,
Yeah,
and
but
then fucking botch the ending.
but that's coming from a different place, and
Maybe.
as far as the ones that I don't like the endings, it just felt like for me it was like lazy writing or
Sure, but I'm
some
just
of those endings.
plenty of these movies that we watched this year aren't on my list because the endings weren't great. I mean, it wasn't a solid piece. So I don't remember Night of the Hunted being.
Well, I just
I mean, yeah, I was bummed that it didn't.
but
it
what
wasn't-
happens to her, right? Am I mistaken in remembering?
Yeah, she goes, but like
I was trying not to spoil. But and I
to
thought,
the mall
worry about
to shopping. She goes to the mall shopping.
yeah.
and
The mall in the sky mall.
but but it wasn't senseless. It wasn't.
Okay.
Like it wasn't for nothing. She got to do the thing and save the little kid and beat
okay,
the
so
guy.
she saved the kid and and
Like-
she beat the guy. So there is a
and
victory there.
if her arc, whether she learned her lesson or not, I hope she did. But like, she did the good
doesn't
thing,
matter.
right? I mean, because of her mistakes that got her in this position or not, her demise is deserved. So like that's okay. But she did a good. Like it wasn't senseless.
Okay. I'm just
If
sorry
I
to
had-
derail
yeah.
it back to that, but that was crossing my mind while we were doing the bonus, and now that you brought this up again in your spiral this year on horror, and I'm just still trying to get a sense of where you're coming from
Same.
on some of this.
Same. I am too.
Okay.
But attachment, I'm not saying everybody lives or everybody dies, but the story was solid. And when you get to the end, you're like, fuck yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool. All right. So
that's my number 6,
Tad,
attachment.
attachment. Tad, what's yours?
We're on number 6, right?
Yep.
All right. This is one that sat at my top film like up until summer. So it's been a while,
Okay.
but I've
Okay.
seen a lot since then, obviously. But I really loved this movie. This was like my favorite movie of the year up until summer. It is a Cronenberg movie, Infinity Pool. I love Mia Goth. I love the weirdness of this movie. It is a mind fuck. It is scary. Again, we talked about it a little bit with Influencer of a situation. I mean, this is like Influencer in a completely weird, different universe. Where people leave the country and the worst kind of shit happens, but not grounded at all.
Nope.
I hope not. I
Fucking
hope this
not.
this is not something that can happen. But Jason, you watched it, right? Mike, you did not probably.
No.
I did.
So I don't know how much to say about this one.
Not too much.
You can say what you want. I'll forget.
Still, but
Yeah, for people who are listening though.
I mean, you
even.
can explain the premise that
We gave them their
this-
warnings at the beginning.
This writer, he's having a hard time coming up with. He's got writer's block, so they decide to go to this like all-inclusive resort outside the country. He happens to run into this girl, Mia Goth, who's a huge fan, and she's like, hey, you should join me and my dude, and you and your wife should join us, and we'll show you around, and we know all about this place, and we're huge fans of yours. And red flag.
you can trust us.
Yeah, huge red flags. And hey, we should leave the resort in my car. It'll be fine. No, don't ever fucking do that. But it doesn't go to like where. I mean, it's a Cronenberg movie. It's a Brandon Cronenberg movie. So I would say it's not. It doesn't go where you expect it to. But with a Cronenberg, you might sort of expect it to do the unexpected, but you still can't guess what the fuck's happening here. I don't necessarily want to go further than that because, I mean, Jason, what do you think? Should we go further than
I'm
that?
just trying to remember what the trailer told me.
See, I didn't watch the trailer. I just knew Mia Goth in a new Brandon Cronenberg
I think
movie.
it's in the trailer. You know, what happens if you get in trouble in that country.
So basically, yeah, they get arrested, and it's like your worst nightmare of like getting arrested in Mexico or wherever.
Right.
Like they hold you captive and they can do what they want with you, but there's a way out if you have enough money, and they fucking clone you and make another version of you, and then you sit in the audience and watch what you think. I'm not. It's a mind fuck. Are you watching the real version of you? Are you watching yourself? Are you the clone? Is that the clone? But they basically punish this thing in front of you, and you get to like watch them torture you from like an audience. And so basically, like Mia Goth and her group of lunatics, you know, they go out and do whatever the fuck they want because when they get arrested, they can just pay to have themselves cloned again.
And the punishment taken out on the clone. Not
Yeah.
them.
No,
That's
no
just the customs
consequences.
of the country.
Yeah,
is-
no consequences. You think, and it goes deeper than that. So that's just, but it's fucking a mind fuck. Where, yeah, one of the Skarsgårds, he's like the lead writer. I don't know which one he is. He's handsome as fuck, but it's wild because he's watching himself being like waterboarded, and it's like, is that him? Which one's him?
Well,
And then he starts questioning, like, is that me? Am I the clone? Is that my clone? I don't. Yeah.
At first, they do a good job of letting me think that you're with the original the whole time,
Yeah.
and when it's all done and stuff through, you think that it was, and probably is, but then later, when you realize that all his friends have been through this multiple times, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't know. This
Yeah.
is we don't know if I don't know if I'm the original."
Oh wow.
You're just like,
And-
"Fuck."
And yeah, there's a point where it's like, we're having fun with this. Let's go rob a rich person's house because there's no consequences. And then it's like some serious shit starts happening. What happens if you kill a clone? Can, you know, and it's like, okay, we've had our fun. Let's leave. Well, no, now you have, all this information. You can't just simply leave with it. And it gets heavier and heavier, and the dread builds, and Mia Goth is rad.
Yeah,
just-
she is. And
She fucking rules.
the
This
mind
movie rules.
fuckery is strong in this movie.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, David, but just pass the baton on. Let Brandon keep making movies.
Yes.
He's the new Cronenberg. He's they've cloned David as a young
It
version.
might be true.
Yeah, and I'm loving his first. Possessor was on my
Oh.
list 2 years ago, and this was high on my list. 6 doesn't feel right, but
Just missed mine.
yeah, but there's tons of other stuff. So Infinity Pool rules. It's a Tad movie, that's for sure.
Well, I'll believe he is the clone of David when he starts having flesh guns in his movies.
That's what I sort of like too, is that he's not necessarily. I mean,
Yeah, he's not
great.
just ripping off his dad. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for me to say he's not just doing body horror and he's made a clone movie, but it's not like that kind of body horror. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 clone
We-
movies, sort of.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, we get to see Mia Goth's naked body, so yeah.
You've sold me on this movie.
Oh, that's
Yep.
all. You should have started with that.
No, the whole premise sounds actually interesting. I mean,
Yeah, it's
actually,
good.
It's
I
cool
need
as
to
fuck.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Well, my number 6.
Oh, God.
We've already got brought up. Mine's Renfield.
Renfield.
Yeah.
It's
I
don't
was
know what
afraid
else
I
to
was
say.
gonna be the only one to have it on my list.
Oh, it's so much fun, and when they're doing the black and white footage at the beginning, it's just they did such a good job matching, the original Dracula, and with Nick Cage's look. Like, I didn't think any other actor could do a physical looking performance of Bela Lugosi other than Martin Landau, and Nick Cage proved me wrong on this one. Like, if you squint just right, you would be convinced it's Bela Lugosi. But other than that, the movie, it's a lot of fun. Some cool gore, some fun action. A lot of gore. It's so gory. It's great. I love how they take a lot of the mythology that has been all the way back to the original Dracula and putting some fun updated spins on it, and not telegraphing it to you either. Like, the whole Dracula has to be invited in thing is a real thing in this movie for him to enter a house or wherever, but they don't spell it out for you. It's just when he shows up at the church or whatever for the support group and it massacres them. The head of the support group's like, "Come on in," and Renfield's like, "No," but at no point is it ever like Dracula has to be invited in to places.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that, and the bugs thing, how they've incorporated Renfield eating bugs, and how that's how he manifests his powers, his Dracula
It's a neat
powers.
twist,
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. I can't wait to see where it lands on Jason's list. Just kidding.
Number 1, baby. Stay tuned.
Woo! All right, that's 10 through 6, guys. That's half. We're halfway through this.
So exciting.
Oh, what's really exciting is what's to come. The top 5. So that is it for part 1 of the Attack of the Killer Podcast Award Show. I want to thank everybody for listening, and special thanks to all the attackers for supporting the show. Mm-hmm. You could check out more of us on all the internets: YouTube, Facebook, Threads, X, TikTok, Instagram. I think I got them all. And tune in next week for the exciting conclusion of the Attack of the Killer Podcast Award Show. Will Jason buy another Transformer? Will we go a year without an A24 film on Tad or Jason's list?
Doubtful.
Will I keep talking like this?
Let's hope not.
Tune in next week and find out. Same attacker time, same attacker channel.
Oh no, could this be the end of?
Attack of the Killer Podcast.